Okay, so for the first time I'm building something different. Usually I build Harry Potter, but I was really lucky and got a second-hand set of the Hocus Pocus house and had to deconstruct it, which was almost as much fun as rebuilding it has been. But I got so far and then realised I really want to do some lights. So I got up to page 96 and then thought I need to do some light planning. The first thing that I've done is actually modify the base of the set. You can see there that I've put it onto a bigger base plate and I've increased the brick height. So it's now on a 2 brick high plus 1 plate, Mills plate. And that is to give me a little cavity here for my battery pack. But I've also left this side open because I know I'm going to have some wires, I'm going to have some connectors. So I'll be building around the building, but I want to leave this side open. I've still got the little light brick there under the fireplace working, so happy with that. Now I just need to spend some time planning my lights. So this is what I've got left from my previous purchases. This is all Light My Bricks version 1.0. They've got a new range out, which I am excited to try, but I want to use up these ones first. I have considered, and I think I will, out beside the water wheel, which I admit I really loved building. This was great. Love pulling it apart and love rebuilding it. So I'm going to have the water out here beside the building. I've got quite a bit of transparent blue. So I'm thinking I'll pop some lights under that just to give a bit of an effect. Instead of putting 2 separate lights over here, I've got lots of light strips left. And I'm going to see how using one of those gives the same effect. So I'll be able to put that down. Bear with me a sec because these are really fiddly. So I just plug the power in. There we go, 1 port used. I need to really think this through. Obviously, my power board, my expansion board, my PowerPoint will go on this side of the building, but the lights I want under the water wheel are on this side of the building. So I'm going to have to peel my base plate back so that I can put a wire from the board over to this light. And using a strip light, the beauty of those is it has a connection on each end. So whilst running it from this little power board, there we go. This light strip actually gives me 2 lights. So what I like about it is I'll be able to put it on the side there and then put bricks around it and over it so that I actually get 2 points of light coming up out of the water. Okay, so what I've done is I simply removed a 1x2 plate that I had on the bottom layer there, and that gives me a window. I'll be able to build around that to hide the wires, but I do like the fact that that gives me some give and take so I can fiddle around with it and get it to where I want it. Next will be the light for the little lamp, which he easily connects next to the doorway, but I want a light running through that. So I need to think about how do I actually want that light wire to go. And what I'm thinking is instead of this cheese wedge here, which was per the design, if I pop that little 1x1 round in there, I can run a wire. I can connect it to my little lantern here and then slide it in below the gap there. So again, I've got some give and take. Then I can feed it around the rest of the build so that I can plug it in to this down beside here. I've got a gazillion of the 30 centimeters, so that's what I'm going to go with. So first thing is to secure it into the actual lantern. So pop out that piece. Only the power connector end fits through an open stud, which is good because then it'll secure it. But what you can end up with, sorry, just feed that through the lantern as well, is a bit of a challenge sometimes in actually getting the brick back in. That's where the micro lights are really, really good because the wires are also a bit smaller. So that's secure, but I will have to just be conscious of that it doesn't pop out with pressure. So, but I think I'm happy with that. As I said, I'm going to feed it down into that little gap. Now from the front, you can't see the wire, so my next piece is to feed that wire around where I want it to go in the building, and I can feed it down behind the cupboard. You'll see that it'll push the wall out, but what happens is when I actually construct the rest of the building, that will hold the wall in place, and it'll actually probably just push the cupboard inside the building in a little bit, but that's okay. So I now have that wire heading towards the power board. I can connect that. First time, got it right. There we go. So my water lights will be down there, and I've got a bright front door light. I'm now up to page 137 of the instructions, but I've made a couple of little changes. So let's pop around the front here. I noticed that the windows that they've installed didn't have any glass in them. I had spare glass amongst my stash, and what I've done, what I found recently in some builds, is I put the window in backwards so that the glass is actually sunk in. I just think it gives a nice little effect. I'm gonna have to do something with this one because I didn't do that, but these two upper level ones I have. I also changed the bed. I'm not really sure why, but in the build they have the bed 8 studs wide, which seemed a bit odd. I don't know, but I've made it back to 6, and I think it just sits a lot nicer. I do like the bed. I think it's super cute. And then I'm up to the lighting stage. I'm like, okay, what am I going to light? So I'm focusing first off on the black flame candle, which sits in this corner here. So this is the build per instructions. It's just on a small stand with a swivel. I just thought that was, I don't know, not enough. So I've built my own little stand. I've just got an open black 1x1 plate, an upside down candle, and I'm not sure what that's called, but I always use them for light fixtures. Naturally, I could just put the candle on there, but I want to light it. So I have got a 15 centimeter light. I have threaded the power point through another open plate. As you can see, the light won't go through, so it's good at holding the light in place. Pop that onto the candle, and then it's just a matter of popping the candle into the holder. Now it will fight you a little bit because of the wires, but just push and it's all good. So that's going to go in this corner. Make sure that the wire is obviously through the door. Okay, and there we go. So a bit hard to see. I might just turn off my other light. There we go. You can see I've got a dim but effective black flame candle. So now, next step is obviously to hide this wire because it's pretty obvious. One thing I found, this is the best set I've ever tried to hide lighting wires on, and I think it's because of the color scheme. So as you can see, the wires are quite dark. This one, you know, that I tucked in behind the shelf earlier and just popped a 1x1 round over it to hold it in place. The dark brown is just great for doing that. So if I get this cord back here, I've dug through a whole bunch of my supplies, and I'm just going to lay some flooring. So I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've laid some flooring. I haven't done the whole floor. I do not want that look. I want to try and stay as close to the Hocus Pocus house as I can, and I really like the dark brown, so I didn't want to cover that too much, didn't want to make it all pretty and smooth. So I've used a few longer tiles, a few round plates, but more importantly, I have managed to disguise the wire there. So as I said earlier, there'll be another structure here to cover the battery box. So I've got 2 wires coming out here, and you cannot really see them inside the build, which is just great. Now the decision on whether I want to light any more of the candles. I'd like to. Maybe I need to just remove some of the candles so that I just feel funny lighting some and not others. So I'll have to have a think about that. So a little bit of deconstruction. As I said, it's much easier to thread wires when you've got a 1x1 round plate. That was a 1x1 square plate, and I had nowhere to put the wires without disrupting the look of the building. So I've just pulled that wall out, replace that piece, and then I'll pop the wall back in, pop the wheel back on. That wire, as I said, didn't want to waste a port. It's coming from the light strip outside, but it is going into, I took away the 3 candle candelabra, if that's how you say it, and popped one big candle in there, and it gives quite a bit of light. So I've actually decided not to worry about a light under here, because once the top of the building's on, I will have lights in the ceiling which will shine down. So still deciding whether to do candles here, 1 or 2. I'm really happy with how bright that one is. Okay, so the wall's back together. And as I said, that one candle gives quite a bit of light. So, and I've got my room light on at the moment, but when that's off, or obviously when we have base plate over the top to close it in, I think that'll actually be enough light in the shop as well as what comes down from the ceiling. So that's good, because I've got 2 empty ports left, which means I can focus on 2 lights upstairs, maybe a candle upstairs and a light upstairs, and that will be the lighting done. So I will keep building and come back soon.